I have an announcement. Between July 23rd and August 11th, we are going to be conducting a data visualization competition. You'll get to participate in this if you sign up for our marketing analytics case study course. So what we're going to do is have you compete for a chance to win a spot on the podcast. All you have to do is finish the course, post your visualization to LinkedIn, tag us in it, and you'll be entered in on this competition. So what are the benefits for you? Well, number one, you're going to build a killer analytics portfolio piece. Number two, if you tag us in it and we comment on your LinkedIn post, this is going to be a wide range of exposure for you. And then number three, if you win, you get to come on the podcast and have an expert review your work. So that's just hugely valuable just into itself. So Michael Gallarnick is a true heavy hitter in the analytics space. He is published on LinkedIn, he's a lecturer at Stanford, and he is currently the head of developer relations at Anyscale. On August 13th, he is coming on our How to Get an Analytics Job live stream to review our finalists. Well, I realize you may be a little bit intimidated, but let me ease your anxiety a little bit. So what I'm going to be doing over the next 2 weeks is I'm going to be quite vigilant on checking my tags on LinkedIn. So if you come up with your first iteration of your dashboard, tag me in a LinkedIn post and I will give you detailed feedback on what you're doing well and how you could even improve it further. And you can even tag me multiple times. I'm open to taking an iterative approach, because I think that's probably the best way to build out a really solid analytics portfolio. So all you have to do is tag us, post your work publicly, and you're going to be entered in this contest. And I can't wait to see the finalist results, because already we have Deepak and we have Abe Diaz who have taken this course and tagged me on multiple iterations of their dashboards, and they look fantastic. So if you're ready to beef up your personal brand in the analytics space, then join us in on this challenge. I dare you.
Sorry, are we muted right now? Okay.
Julian Rockton, appreciate the heads up.
Thank you. So this is the first time that me and Al have been in studio together. So we're completely doing a new setup when I'm not in my usual live streaming space. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we're going to be talking about the Google Analytics certification course, specifically the course 6, which is Data Viz.
Yep.
So how was it?
Okay. I actually, driving over here today, I was not 100% certain what I was going to say here, because I have gone back and forth on this course so many times. And, when I say go back and forth, it's not as if data courses are binary. They're not good or bad. The course is worthwhile. And when I got to the end of it, I remember thinking, okay, this is kind of like a dedicated course. And so going in, especially given the previous lessons, I'm thinking it's going to be like Tableau, like 50% hands-on Tableau or more, because that's what lessons 4 and 5 were. It was a lot of hands-on Excel and SQL, and a little less on the sort of theory and business cases and context. This course is like 75% theory, business cases, context, soft skilly type stuff, and maybe 25% Tableau, if that. So for me, that was not what I expected. And so I was kind of battling some disappointment with that, because I expected a good review of my somewhat limited Tableau skills, and it really wasn't even that.
So it sounds like you were looking for a case study course?
I was just looking for more hands-on technical stuff and a little less of the theory of visualization.
Right.
But it really reminded me of one of the dedicated courses where you're going to get a lot of, here's why we do this in visualization. Here's why we use these colors and this contrast, and here's a good way to set up dashboards and stuff like that. And not as much, here's how you put geographic locations in Tableau. That's more of what I was looking for. I know this course does not make you a tool master. And I've said that plenty of times. It's true of all the lessons, but it was really true in this lesson. So good course, worth taking, not exactly what I expected. Okay.
Interesting. So it sounds like you wanted more of a case study course with real data.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't take the bait the first time. This is why we should rehearse and do like show prep or something.
That's true. Although I kind of like the loose tightness of it, of like, all right, here we're just gonna like be thrown on air, talk about things. Because see, like with the last episode with Ash, like I had no idea he was even into marketing analytics.
Yeah.
So that was like, oh wow, you're an expert. We can pivot the whole course based on your recommendations.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we did. So it sounds like the sub-course 6 within this certification was more like Cole Nussbaum, or whatever, telling stories with data.
Knaflic. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
That is a huge name. But okay, so Mark is saying freeform is better. So all right, I'm getting adjusted to the new flow here. So this is Albert's review of the visualization course. So correct.
So it is, but I think when you and I talked, and then the opportunity presented itself that I was going to be in Greensboro this week, so it was like, hey, we could do this together instead of through an internet portal. And then we started thinking of what was possible and my impressions of the course, which were this particular lesson does not lend itself to me sitting here clicking through one exercise at a time and saying, this is good, this is crap, et cetera, et cetera. I really wanted to do kind of more of a broad overview. There are plenty of great parts of this course. The writings are not good, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, the stuff is worth doing. But if you're looking for any kind of Tableau buttonology course, it will not be that for you.
Awesome. So this brings up an interesting conversation. So I think that the harder skill to acquire is that ability to communicate insights.
Yep.
So if you can cultivate that, that's much more valuable, because it is kind of like are you familiar with this concept called the Red Queen theory?
Yes, I think from you. But
so the Red Queen theory is that, all right, the Red Queen from, I think it was Alice in Wonderland, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's running as fast as she can just to stay put.
Yeah.
So I actually made a decision a couple of years ago not to be considered the Tableau expert, because 4 times every year I have to learn a new, like every single update with Tableau. Mm-hmm. And it's a moving target, and they're in competition with Power BI and ClickView and everything else. The value that I think is, or the bigger value is understanding kind of broad business concepts, and then the soft skills of like how to navigate that, like the personal element.
And I think you obviously know better than I do, but I think you hit on it. If you want to be the be all end all ninja of one skill set, that's probably all you're ever going to be. Mm-hmm. And so, even someone as accomplished as Kate Strachny is, she is kind of a jack of all visualization trades, rather than being, there's people out there that are better at each of those platforms than Kate is. Kate makes her living on being an expert on the whole kind of atmosphere of visualization software and how to apply it.
So I guess kind of to sum that up and put a pin in it, you should aim to be tool agnostic.
Yes.
Because what happens if you tie your horse to the Tableau race and then Power BI just dominates? Mm-hmm. Then you've spent all that energy and it's gone nowhere, to where you just need to switch that to Power BI, and the buttons are all different.
Yep.
I mean, it's similar enough, so you wouldn't be totally like out of luck. But all right, we got somebody coming in here. SK is asking, Is it worthwhile for those wanting to change careers?
It looks like he was making a statement there. Let's see, he fat fingered it. But
Oh, you're right. I can't even. I guess one of the skills is to be able to read well.
Yeah.
I'm illiterate.
So, SK, I concur. The course is worthwhile. I mean, I said that throughout, even the early lessons where it was very much non-technical and kind of contextual and theory oriented. Yeah, it's absolutely a worthwhile course, especially for the price. I mean, it's not, there are ways you can get it for free, certainly, but even if you're paying full price, it's $40 a month. If you take the full 6 months, that's $240. There are so many courses out there that cost way more than that and will not deliver the same kind of value. So, yeah, even if you're paying the monthly rental fee throughout for Coursera, it's absolutely worth it.
Awesome. All right. So we got another question here. I guess this is more of a comment. So Asa is saying, the Google Analytics course seems great, but in the future, could the course have Python? Because I think Python is used more than R.
That depends greatly on where you are and what kind of work you're doing, Asa, because they actually explain it in lesson 7, and maybe next Wednesday I'll actually pull that screen up. They go through pros and cons because I think Google knew full well that there will be plenty of Python lovers, Freiberg, and Tom Ives, that would weep bitterly that they chose R to use as their key language. They explained exactly their rationale behind it. I won't get deep into the weeds until next week when we actually talk about the R lesson. But they had good and valid reasons for it. R is more of a specialized statistical language. It's easier to get into data visualization with R, fewer lines of code with less complex, typage than Python. So, Python's used more, sure. Python's used more for data science, sure. But there were good and valid reasons why Google used R, and I think it's going to stick.
Okay. All right. So we got Think Mark Think. All the way. Do you know Mark's last name?
I don't.
All right, Mark, tell us your last name, because I feel like you're in almost every of our live streams, but I just know Think Mark Think. I don't know who you are specifically. He's saying they'll probably add Python in a different iteration of the course. That's interesting. So are they taking an iterative approach to this? I thought they just rolled it out and that's like pretty much it.
So they are going to update it. I mean, I think switching to Python would be such a monumental change. And I just don't see, like, from here forward, what is going to change about the atmosphere of the two languages and the nature of those two languages that's going to make them say, oh, we should have used Python, other than all of the, data science people saying we love Python. So the reasons why they chose R are still there. They're going to continue to be there. I did actually talk to one of the instructors while I was still a Google intern up until last Friday.
Oh, nice.
So I talked to Sally and had a coffee chat with her, and she was the one that taught the data cleaning course. And she said that they are updating and revising the course. Obviously, it's, skills like that get stale very quickly. And I think she is one of the instructors that's actually going forward and continuing to work on the course. Some of the other instructors, they don't have their, they're still all at Google, I believe, but I think they're dropping off working on the course.
So she sounds like an ideal podcast guest.
Yes. I'm
you're working the angle? Nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Mark's saying that it looks like, so IBM, which that question's come up a lot of what's the difference, or what is the pro and the cons of the IBM certification versus the Google one. But Mark is saying that IBM did a similar thing where I guess they took an iterative approach and got feedback on the first one. But are you familiar with the IBM certification?
So I've become, very recently, become more familiar with it.
Okay.
I before Google came out with theirs, IBM was one of my kind of back burner projects. Once Google came out, that was the new hotness, and just figured we'd do that. And I was working at Google, so why not? So I've recently kind of understood through some people that IBM has a lot better kind of forcing functions on the work in their course. You have to do a lot of peer-reviewed assignments. And so, it's a whole lot easier, it's a whole lot harder to kind of cheese your way through the course than it is with Google. I've said many times, hey, with the Google course, it is on your honor. If you want to do all the work, you can do all the work. If you want to skate through and just present your certificate and say, look at me, that's also an option for you. I understand that IBM, it's much more difficult. You actually have to submit assignments and have actual humans look at them and grade them. So
awesome. We're getting some love here. So Asa, I'm very curious, what are you enjoying about the podcast? If you could be a little bit more specific in chat, but much appreciated the love. Thank you very much. Because we're starting to get quite a bit of feedback. And it's weird that, well, I guess if anyone's watching that's local here in Greensboro, I'm going to be meeting with some people here locally on Monday nights. So reach out to me privately. I feel like I need to not disclose the location just in case there's some out there. Although I guess I don't know. We do have some crazy data fans, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Oh no, we got a really low signal. This is the worst place for us to broadcast. The router's over on the other. I didn't think through that.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I did a job interview earlier where I was at the mercy of the Marriott Bonvoy Wi-Fi.
Oh no.
It did work out. I got through the interview and everything was good. But I think it was because it was during the day. Because at night it was garbage.
Okay. Interesting. I thought you were having an in-person interview.
Nope.
Have all your interviews been remote?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't done a single in-person one.
Oh wow. Man, things have changed so much,
Yeah.
especially now that we're in, I guess it's almost like the post-COVID time.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, and that it's kind of funny because this interview was with, there were some people that were off location, but the main people I was interviewing with are in Jacksonville, which of course I am not today, but anyway.
Well, so we're getting lunch tomorrow with Christine and Ryan, so that'll be interesting.
Whoa.
Because I think Ryan wants you on his team. Potentially, we'll see how that fits. But all right, we need questions, guys. This is a Q&A. Keep them rolling. We need. I should have uploaded that question that with the memes in the audio.
Yeah.
Abe thinks it's too cheesy though. I don't want it to be.
I think cheesy is what we do.
You think?
We're kind of corny with these,
I don't know. We need to put a poll out. Are we cheesy? Well,
that's our space.
I guess
Hey,
so.
Ujwal, if I'm saying your name right, you're on the LinkedIn chat, man. You got any questions? Julian Rockton? No? Yeah, I'm approving of all of your handful of comments so far. Sometimes this doesn't update real well if you're kind of sitting in it.
Well, it's interesting because we can only see the YouTube. We can see that 6 people are tuning in on YouTube and there are 9 people tuning in on LinkedIn. So it's weird that StreamYard doesn't combine them all together.
We threw everybody off with this alternate time.
Right. So, having 15 people on the live stream at once, that's not bad for a 3:30. All right.
It's pretty late in India Standard Time.
We just had someone from Europe saying this is an ideal time. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's nice evening hours for them, but it's what is it? Midnight? No, 1 a.m. Yeah, getting after 1 a.m. in India. So our whole Indian contingent either burning the midnight oil or just ditching us.
It's just gone. I think that I would value the podcast time over sleep if I were them. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I talk to so many of them, and you'll get a message, and I'm just looking at the time, and I'm like, "Is it 2 a.m. for
it's
you?"
Yeah.
So some of them,
Wow.
Nikki Asrani, who's an awesome YouTuber, she's up super late every night because she is on an Eastern Standard Time shift at her job.
Oh, that makes totally sense. That makes total sense.
So yeah, we'll kind of fire messages back and forth every once in a while, and then I'm like, "Shouldn't you go to bed?" And she's like, "No, I'm still working."
Well, what's funny is I couldn't sleep last night, so I woke up at 3 a.m. and worked for an hour because I just Well, honestly, I'm like afraid that no one's going to sign up for this challenge, and then we're like, oh, we're doing
challenging each other.
Yeah, we're doing this big challenge with this big data.
The winner of the challenge is
and there's no
John David Ariansen.
Yeah,
it sounds Spanish.
It's me with a mustache.
Yeah.
No, we've had 2 or 3 people sign up, but yeah, it feels like a little bit of a social risk of like we have a 2-week condensed time period. Which I think, so Ryan's on vacation now, but I think what we're going to do is, vacation. So
no dedication, that guy.
I think what we're going to do is next week I might put out like a $500 budget and then put half of that towards LinkedIn advertising, half of it towards YouTube. And then in the live stream, have him come on.
Yeah.
Because like this whole open, so are you still not getting the open data source, the open company data concept? Because when we talked about it yesterday, you were like, I'm not sure I like fully understand.
Oh, okay.
So like basically what we would do.
I still got the COVID brain fog. I don't remember what I say from day to day.
So what we're thinking about doing is just having all of our data sources for the learning platform open. And then anyone can have access to it if they sign up for our email list. It's like here, every month we'll have a new data drop. And then that gives people like real data to study.
Okay. And are we doing like specific assignments with that data?
Well, so that'll be the free, like that's the freemium model.
Yeah.
And then if they want to pay for the course, it's like here, these lessons can be baked into like the marketing analytics. So I think most of it's going to be sales and marketing, supply chain. We're not making widgets, so they're a little bit out of luck. But all right, cool. We got some questions coming back in. All right, so SK is asking, what is the biggest win from the course so far? I added it so far.
I'd say, lesson 5 is really good. And then kind of more writ large, lesson 4 and 5 on cleaning and analyzing using some pretty intermediate spreadsheet, Excel and Google Sheets skills, plus, getting into kind of the low end of intermediate SQL. I really thought that was great. That the business context is wonderful, the theory is wonderful, but I felt like it needed a technical punch, and I think that was it. Now I'm about halfway through the R course. It is code. You're sitting there banging out R code, and it's really good. They show you how to use the studio, and so it's more than just. I think my beef when I was using DataCamp was like they never put you in an actual environment to use the code. It's all in kind of their very canned, very clean environment. Google's is not that. It's like, hey, pull up BigQuery, pull up a data set, these steps, go.
Nice.
So you're using actual tools, actual portals to data, to analysis. You're actually pulling up Excel and Google Sheets, various different ways to work with SQL, and now they're using the best ways to work in R. So yeah, happy with that. I think kind of the structure and flow, lesson 6 notwithstanding, wasn't feeling the flow. Sorry, of lesson 6 and. Yeah.
So that's kind of dovetailing off of Think Marketing's question. Also, cheesy is our charm, I guess. I'll take that as a compliment. So he says, "What's course 6? What is what did you like the most, and what did you like the least?"
The instructor is really good on course 6. He's I've jokingly called him kind of the Bob Ross of Tableau. He reminds me a bit of Bob Ross. He's kind of very smooth, soft voice, very, very friendly guy, kind of, hey, we're going to make pretty pictures with visualizations. But he is actually I wish I had written down his title. He's actually a honcho at Google. He's like the head of, I don't know if he's head of analytics or what, but super high ranking dude at Google, very knowledgeable, clearly knew his stuff forwards and backwards. So his teaching style is very good. It's very communicative. In the aggregate, the knowledge was all good. Again, I didn't feel the flow a lot. It kind of goes like week 1 is a lot of theory. Week 2 is the only part where you're actually playing with Tableau. Week 3, you're starting to kind of get dashboards, but you're not making real dashboards. You're kind of theory of dashboards and how graphs and stuff go together. And then week 4 is like kind of a lot of PowerPoint stuff, which as a soon to be retired military man, I get kind of a little twitch when I have to, somebody's telling me about how to make awesome PowerPoint slides. I just don't like it.
Okay, well, we're gonna pause here because I ran the Tableau user group in Greensboro for 2 years, and one of the things within that community is that you shouldn't use Tableau, download the images, and then embed them on a PowerPoint. Stories and dashboards should replace PowerPoint presentations. So did they miss that part on that?
So there's nothing, I mean, it goes, here's something that I didn't really highlight. They go visualization. They're not talking about just data viz. I mean, it is like the visual presentation of analysis.
Okay.
And so the PowerPoint section, it kind of gets away from data in general. And it goes into your analysis, whether it's heuristic, back of the napkin, whiteboard stuff, work group generated things. They get into the no more than 5 bullets and no more than 5 words on a bullet and all of that sort of good PowerPointery. There is some kind of embedding a graph here and there, but it's to support a narrative that you're presenting. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know if that answered your question at all. I talked around it really nice.
We got a very serious question here coming in from Walid. Is it really Al or is that a hologram?
I tell you what, we were talking right before the show. If it's a hologram, I went through a whole lot of pain. To be a hologram.
If you can.
Yeah. So I got Hornet stung me, and actually I won't throw my legs up on the table, but his buddy in the ambush, another Hornet stung me on the leg at the same time while I was running this morning, waiting for my kid's baseball game to start. And so, like the idiot that I am, I continued my workout until it was finished, which was like another half hour. So that allowed the Hornet venom to course throughout my veins, throughout my entire body.
You didn't sweat it out? Is that how that works?
No, it does not work that way. So yeah, I had some tense moments. I was trying to hide it from my wife because she'll freak out and take me to the emergency room. But I was definitely graying out a little bit and having to sit down and then lie down. And hiding that from the wife is not easy. So got through it. Had a little rash for a bit. I'm better now. Excedrin's amazing.
Another night owl here. So Eric is calling in from Kenya. It's 10:50. Go to bed, but after you finish this live stream.
Yeah. What's up, Eric? Thanks for coming, bud.
And yeah, this is new. It's like I don't know. It's like the video game has come to life. It's like what it was. Like Interplayer One or whatever is that movie about video games.
Ready Player One.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So we're circling back around to what Asa liked about the podcast, which feel free to give us feedback. So, for example, Matt Cole is a podcast super fan. It's weird getting a drink with someone who's listened to over 100 episodes, and he'll be like, in episode 13, 30-minute mark, you said this thing. I kind of disagree with you on this, and it's like he wants to go super nuanced. What's funny is that he wanted to pick a bone with Dr. Hall about the benefits of going to grad school directly after undergrad. And so we're going to be meeting at a restaurant for drinks and dinner on Monday night, and I'm sure there's going to be a spirited debate on that specific topic. So
I will say I'm adamantly opposed to going to grad school immediately after undergrad, but I can be trained. Dr. Hall's probably forgotten more about education than I'll ever know.
Well, I mean, education's at a really interesting place right now. But okay, so Asa was saying, I think the question I asked him is like, he said he was a huge fan, and I just wanted to get some feedback. Also, if you guys are listening, feel free to give us feedback. I mean, I actively want to kind of seek that out. So he was saying that he likes my stories, which I've actively been trying to become a better storyteller. So that's a huge compliment. Thank you. So yeah, one of our biggest wins was Molly's success story. So within a 3-month period, we took her from being completely unfulfilled at a job that she felt was just like kind of mind-numbing to her entry-level data science job. We need to get her back on, by the way.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I had a message with her the other day.
So wait, what is Al's 5 for 5?
I was wondering that myself. When did I come up with 5 for 5?
All right. So
is it like a $5 footlong?
See, that's the hazard of talking for over 100 hours. Like you say things and you forget, but people latch onto it and they're like, yeah, this one specific thing really resonated with me. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. All right. So
Hunter is good at banter. good pull, Asa. Yeah, he is a banter master.
Okay, and this is interesting. So the grilling sessions of visualizations, something I talked about last episode with Ash was this kind of like servant leadership trope that I'm trying to embody.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that I grill myself so incessantly, and it's like, it's not about my ego and me being right. It's more about just like this body of work or the truth. I think I'm setting the stage, or we're setting the stage so that people can come in and get criticism. And I mean, it can be a little cutting, but it's also like coming from a good place. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, last episode, Abe just got a huge amount of value out of that. And I mean, I just talked to Abe on the phone earlier today, so he's super into it.
He's not cutting himself or anything.
I mean, he I think he'll be all right. He's got a little bruised ego. No, actually, Abe, it just like rolls off his back. I mean, he's super happy. It's nice.
Abe was a recruiter for 3 years, so there's nothing you can tell him. He's been told to F off by teenagers, parents, probably school administrators a time or two. I mean, yeah, there's nothing you can tell Abe that is any worse than what he's already experienced.
All right. And then the last thing that Asa was saying was that he liked was just the guest career experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're basically crowdsourcing knowledge. Like, I am not the expert on all things analytics, but we are pulling people in. And what's funny is I've kind of got like a bucket list now of like, we've got someone from Google, Facebook, Amazon, Nordstrom, LinkedIn now.
No Netflix yet?
Yeah. So we need to put like a bulletin, like wanted.
I don't think we got any
analysts from Apple, Coca-Cola.
So
Pepsi,
we're what is it? 3 for 5 on Fang? Okay.
Wait.
We need Apple and Netflix.
All right. So we're still failing.
I know people at Apple.
All right. Well, let's get them on.
Try and grab one.
Yeah, let's get them on. But Asa, thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that he's gone now to go realign his chakras.
Pretty sure. I know that's not how you spell chakras. Pretty sure that's not how you spell jujitsu either.
He
wrote it out in crayon first. I know he did. Sorry.
All right.
It's the lowest form of internet correction is you spelled your words wrong.
Hey, I'm the one with the glasses here.
I got Matt Bratton the other day. I was like, you used caveat as a verb.
Nice.
I like pushing Matt's button.
All right. We have a legitimate question now for our Q&A section. So Renal. Yeah. I'm glad I was going to butcher that name. So I'm glad that you.
I mean, that was just a good guess. We've never spoken in person. Connected. Thanks for coming, Renal.
Okay,
if that's how you say your name.
Renal is asking, could you please tell us what we should prepare to get an analytics job? And what are the other certificates, I can't even say regular words, right? Certificates required for the role.
Do you remember the movie Quiz Show?
No.
Okay.
Is that from like the 80s?
90s maybe. It had Ray Fiennes in it. But anyway, great movie, won the Academy Award. But I highly recommend you watch it at some point. Probably aged very well because it was set in the 50s. But it's about a guy that like dominated quiz shows in the early age of television. And then it came out, there was this huge scandal, and it came out that the show was cheating to keep him on the show because he was so popular. And he wasn't super comfortable with it, but he went along with it because he liked the adulation. He was making a ton of money. And eventually, like, basically he got tarred and feathered and fired. But anyway, he was famous for saying they would ask on this particular show he was on, they would ask 3-part questions. And he would always say, I'm going to answer the last part first. It was either the last part or the middle part. So anyway, so in true quiz show fashion, I'll answer the last part first, only because that's the easiest part to answer. There are no certificates required to be a data analyst, period, end of sentence.
Right. And
No.
okay, let's expand upon that.
We're not done talking. Come on. I'm never done talking about stuff.
Because like, for example, like you need a PMP certification, right? Like a project management.
To be a project manager?
Or like,
Suppose.
well, or okay, maybe a more concrete one is like you need to be a certified electrician or plumber.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So this kind of profession, it may eventually get to that point, but it's such a emerging space that, well, who knows? I mean,
I think so. Theory time.
Okay.
I think we are well past the point of like guilds and the things that lent themselves in the past to one organization like GAP, right? Writing GAP and coming up with the CPA exam. I think that we are, other than things that are like inherently dangerous, either just to people or to society writ large. I don't think we're going to be in a place where there are going to be these overarching bodies that can write the equivalent of GAP for data analytics. Yep.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a lot of, like what value does it prescribe? Now, individual employers may come out and say, 3 years from now, you might see an employer say a prerequisite for a job here as a data analyst is a Google Data Analytics cert. That's a possibility. I don't see anything that looks like a CPA exam for data analysts, because I just don't think there's ever going to be a consensus that this organization here is the governing body for data analysts.
So
I don't see anybody getting monopoly power over this field.
There are specific big companies that are let's say it's like Pepsi or Coca-Cola. They have an analyst position. 3,000 people apply for that one job.
Yep.
So what they do to kind of thin the herd is that they say it's you have to have a master's in data science or analytics to even get through the kind of filtering ATS system. So that may continue to be, although I mean, education is in such an interesting place right now.
You know what's really required to get that job?
Soft skills,
internal referral.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Because a lot of the times the master's requirement is from HR,
yeah,
and because it makes their job on the front end easier.
So I will say that there's actually 3 jobs, but it was all through one agency and one recruiter. There was only one time that I submitted a resume, having never met anyone at the company, and they had 3 jobs available, and I submitted my resume, said, recruiter, do your work, have a good time, and they didn't call me back, didn't want me for an interview, said that they were all in healthcare. And so they said, we need someone with experience in healthcare. Awesome. That's funny because I've gone other places with internal referrals where I don't have experience, and they said experience isn't all that necessary. So everywhere that I've had an internal referral or someone at the company advocating for me, I've at least gotten an interview, if not a job offer.
Perfect. Okay, so what about the first part of that question?
What should we prepare to get an analytics job? I think the skill set that the Google Data Analytics course prescribes is ideal. And at the time that they came out with it, I wasn't 100% sold, but it is backed up not only, so I'm with an organization called American Corporate Partners, which is awesome if you're transitioning out of the military. Have absolutely advised getting with them. They assign you a mentor for a year, up to a year prior to your transition, and then you're free to keep communicating with them after. My mentor has prescribed, the only thing that wasn't on the Google Analytics cert that he urged me to do was an AWS cert. But other than that, it was exactly the same. So, SQL, Excel, R or Python. He said, hey, just pick one and go with it, but don't straddle the fence. Mm-hmm. And visualization. So I think he said probably best to pick Tableau or Power BI. Just let me know which one. But that was what he advised. Alex Freiberg in recent videos, which I think he pronounces it Freeberg. So I really got to start with the Freiberg because
I feel like I put that out there.
I feel like I don't want to say Freeberg because it's too much like free bird, and then it just sounds weird. It's like that can't be his name. Anyway, I watched a video with him recently where he pronounced it that way. So Freeberg, Alex Freeberg, prescribed exactly that. Obviously, he's a Python honk, so he said, Excel, SQL, Tableau, Python.
Okay.
But, basic coding language, I would recommend R or Python because they're just kind of the most used in data analytics and data science. Some people advocate for Julia.
So what's interesting is that I am currently in the process of developing a business analytics certification program for Greensboro College. And I have developed 4 modules, which I think there are 4, broadly speaking, buckets of things that you need to know. Number 1, you need to know business acumen. So whatever area of expertise, say it's marketing, say it's supply chain, say it's sales analytics or environmental science, whatever you need to understand kind of the context in which the analytics is being had. Then number 2 is analytics hard skills. So like you were saying, so I would say that encompasses like R, Python, Tableau, Excel, whatever. The best way to figure out what hard skills you need to develop, go find 3 of your ideal jobs, go down to the skill sections, copy and paste that into a Google Doc. That's your blueprint for your hard skills. Next is personal branding. So personal branding is what we're doing with LinkedIn. And I think Abe's okay with this. So Abe is not even done with his MBA, and he has people reaching out to him to do consulting projects for them. And this is pretty much because he is every day on LinkedIn. Not only is he building out a portfolio and doing interesting work, but he is broadcasting that out. So that piece will bring opportunity to you. And then the 4th piece is interviewing, which is kind of the soft skills piece. And that is understanding how people work, how to communicate, how to read situations. So what's funny is I just redid my LinkedIn page, which I haven't done in like 3 or 4 years.
Like redid, what'd you work on?
So I'm reading this book. Where is it? I moved it, but it's called You Are the Brand. It's about personal branding. And I just took one of his templates and kind of reworked it. But I think my tagline, which actually, let's share the screen. I can actually pull up exactly what I put in there. It's funny because we're watching ourselves. How indulgent.
I was going to say earlier when you asked for feedback, I was going to say that for me, I only want positive feedback. Like I can't handle criticism.
Also, look at this branding. I put that together in Canva.
Oh, that is sharp.
Yeah. So where is mine?
Sorry, I should cough away from you.
That's true.
It's like you got someone wanting to join your network.
Oh, I know. I just cleared out all my notifications right before this. So here's my tagline. Analytics isn't about crunching huge sets of data in a dimly lit back room. It's about understanding the crossroads of people, business, and data. I think that's pretty succinct.
Graphic, dimly lit back room. I'm getting like film noir.
Well,
what's is that?
Well, because that I feel like that is the major misconception within the space.
Is that the extent of the changes?
Oh, you want to see more? Yeah.
I mean, after an opening line like that, who wouldn't want to see more?
Oh, there we go. You're flattering me here. All right. So I guess this is a little bit of a flex, but then I've had over 500,000 people take my
kind of a big flex.
I have had over 500,000 students take my courses across LinkedIn and Udemy and my own platform. And my goal is to teach 4 things. So what I just laid out: business acumen, analytics, hard skills, personal branding, interviewing. Whether you love, hate, or feel ambivalent about data and analytics, it's here to stay. My goal is to help people thrive in this new data-driven world. If you're not using data in your business day to day, you're going to go the way of the dinosaurs. I thought that was a nice little zinger. And then this is kind of like a mission statement. I started the How to Get an Analytics Job podcast in January of 2020 with the goal of helping students get their first analytics job. But since that time, the podcast has completely transformed. We've interviewed analyst experts from Google, LinkedIn, Amazon, Nordstrom, Facebook, Home Depot, and many other name brand organizations who have given us a ton of valuable insights into the analytics industry. We have built a whole community around learning about business analytics and soft skills, and then plugging my interns Discord server, and then feel free to check out the learning platform. So, I mean, if you want to critique it, I think it's...
So I have gone me flip-flopping again. I've gone back and forth wildly on the about section or summary section, depending on how you're accessing the website. I'm curious to see what the viewers, however many I've left, what do you got, like 15? Yeah. What do you guys think about the about section? Because I had one that was very dry and kind of dull and just sort of a synopsized version of my experience. And then I went polar opposite after talking to a good friend she urged me to go super kind of storytelling-ish. So it was very kind of story of my life type thing. And then I had another advisor who, the headline's good.
Yeah.
I get so many good compliments about that one. It catches your eye. It's memorable. If I put data analyst, data scientist, blah, 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 nobody remembers that stuff.
You're funny. And I think most numbers people aren't.
I am good. Yeah, keep the positive.
You're funny.
This is good.
You're brave.
Tell me more good things about me. Yeah. But so this one, for a long time, I had gone totally the opposite way, and it was all just star format, just like all the projects I did, and most of that stuff is still in there. So it was just like I did this, almost all of it in the Marine Corps, but whatever. I did put a bullet that is now hopelessly outdated on the data side about taking over the LinkedIn page, but I've softened it a little bit. I've backed it off just a tad from the like bulletized like percentage, number, millions of dollars, blah blah blah. So, but I'm interested to hear what the audience thinks. Hey, good old Matt Bratt is here.
Yeah,
Matt Bratt, what do you think about the about section? Not specifically mine. Don't say anything bad about me, but just like, what is your belief on that as a man who hires data people?
Oh, that's true. Matt's got such a perfect perspective on that. Well, I guess maybe we should start with, are there any LinkedIn red flags of like, I don't want to hire this person because they're coming off as, one thing that I'm a little bit worried about is coming off as the fake guru of like being too flashy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Okay.
Iris. Hey, we got to back up. Iris, love you. But okay, we'll go with Iris. There's a question we got to get back to.
Wait, which one?
Waleed's. Saw that out of the corner of my eye. Okay. It's really good. Iris, we'll get back to you in like 2 seconds. No, there was one earlier. I mean, that's a good one too, Waleed, but.
But from him? Yeah.
It was way earlier. Wow, we've missed a ton. Yeah. We talked too damn much.
Well, we got sidetracked on purpose.
Right there. Is there any specific? Click that one.
Okay.
Yes, I've been wanting to answer this since whenever you posted it, which was like 15 minutes ago.
You should have just interrupted me and said,
I didn't say ask me anything.
That's true.
Is there a specific best time to apply for data roles, or do you look for them throughout the year? So if you're talking about like calendar time, scroll down and see what Matt said, because I think Matt answered that partially. So my experience, super recent. Here, let's read Matt.
Yeah. All right. So Matt says, my view on your question about timing is that there's really not a best time, but a lot of companies will begin hiring early in the year as new budgets get approved, but it will be a year-round thing.
Yeah. So, okay. So I read the question a little different. Good job, Matt, figuring out exactly what Waleed obviously meant, it was a calendar-based question, like, when's the best time to buy a new car?
It's 8 a.m. That's the best time.
Exactly. Early in the morning. No, but I appreciate that Matt answered that. The way I read it and the way I hear people ask is like, where in my development cycle should I apply for jobs? And that's what I thought Waleed was asking. Not that that's a better question than what you asked, Waleed. Your question is amazing. However, I do hear that question a lot. So allow me to address the silent masses that want to hear that question answered that I'm imagining only in my head. I think that the consensus that I've heard and what I've experienced is start applying just a bit before you think you're ready. Because first of all, the process takes time, and a lot of times if you're going to go into an interview, you're not going to go into a technical interview step one. You're going to do a phone screen, and then you're going to do kind of an in-person sort of, tell me about yourself kind of interview and your work history and all that sort of stuff. And then once you get past those layers, you're going to get to the technical interview. What I think trips people up is they think I don't have these rock solid, perfect technical skills. I don't have my Google data cert or my IBM cert or whatever it is. And they say, I'm not even going to get the ball rolling. My advice is get the ball rolling. And I think that it's far easier to kind of pump the brakes at some point. And the other thing I would recommend is kind of a version of fail fast, but it's get your reps in with interviews. So especially when I was choosing my SkillBridge, my military internship, I interviewed with companies that didn't feel like I was particularly interested in working for them. Not because they were bad companies. Everyone I interviewed with was a good company and they would have had good jobs, but there were companies that were only hiring for like on-location jobs in Atlanta.
Right.
Bless you.
That's
I was not moving to
hard,
Atlanta.
man.
Exactly. But it was kind of a guilt-free experience because the process lined up. It's like, hey, we've got these 6 companies we want you to interview with. Cool. Yeah. It's not me lying to a company saying, oh, I might be interested in relocating and then pulling the rug out from under them if they happen to want to hire me.
You also, let's break it down from a psychological perspective.
Yeah.
You are walking in as the belle of the ball.
True.
So, and I think that's important to where, like, if you're overly obsequious and overly like, I need this, and overly agreeable, it changes things and people just...
The power dynamic is
yeah.
totally switched.
So I think going to an interview where you feel that, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like they're going to chase you a little bit,
Yeah.
or I guess it could go both ways. Like, it's almost like a bad date where it's like you're not interested in them and they're not interested in you.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a learning process as well, just 'cause, so that's like super awkward.
But I mean, I have accepted interviews, formal, informal, everything, some earlier than I really intended to kind of go forward with any company, just because, hey, I want this experience. And so I think the more times you can get into an actual room with an actual interviewer, not a mock interview, not doing your LinkedIn kind of on camera thing, get in a room with an interviewer that is actually interviewing you for a job that they want to hire for. That is just, it's like game reps in sports. I mean, you cannot replicate it. There's no scrimmage. There's no mock interview that can replicate that perfectly.
All right. So
now I've put Iris off far too long.
Okay. Do you want to just we could potentially pull up is her LinkedIn name the same?
Yes.
All right. Iris, we're going to examine
Iris Huang, former Show Us Your Data entrant. I think one of our first, actually. She was like the 3rd or 4th person we featured.
All right. Gotta get a background there.
Okay, so our about section was more serious at this point, keeping it casual.
Okay.
Oh, did you, Iris, did you put in a code word? I've heard of people putting a code word in their about section.
What do you mean by that?
So they they'll put, it's a bit like when Freeberg
it's like a dog whistle
used to do, kind of. It's like the secret password.
It's like the bat. Well, I guess the bat signal would be like obvious. Everyone knows the bat signal, but like.
So Freeberg would, at the end of his videos, he used to name, I think he did it when you were on there. He named a vegetable.
Oh, right,
and you had to watch to the end of the video to know what vegetable it was. And so he would take your comments seriously in the comment section. Obviously, if you look at the other comments and it says rutabaga, okay,
Right.
cool. Rutabaga is the code word. But anyway, I have heard of people, Iris, putting a code word into their about section. I briefly thought about that. It felt a little corny to me, so I didn't do it. But yeah, there was somebody that, has tens of thousands of whatever connections or followers. And basically it was like, if you want a connection, you have to use the code word, which is, rutabaga or whatever. So it was like, they would only accept connection requests from someone that actually put that code word in their message, which of course forces them to put a message on there too, which you should always put a message.
Right. What's funny is you can see the request rolling in. I got another request.
I get paid in candy bars for ranting constructively on Medium. That's awesome. It's so memorable.
Do you want to read through it and we can give some like commentary?
Okay. Ex-Life Science got very good. Patient.
Well, read it. All right, I'll read it out loud.
Cool. I'll start coughing.
Okay. So Iris Huang is ex-life scientist, got very good at, and a little bit of typo there. Got very good
so
at.
That sentence is grammatically correct, Iris, but I would say it's confusing. So
wait, will you
I would clean that up.
I was about to say, as we
got very good at and patient with technically grammatically correct. It's just tough to read. So,
okay. All right.
Iris.
Working out the little movements of molecules upstream or downstream. Guess that inspired my data engineering career without me realizing. Analyst turned a data engineer. Didn't want to create BS reports anymore, and definitely capable enough to prevent more garbage from going in. My analyst users trust my numbers and can communicate to me why numbers are wrong. So, okay, I get the sentiment. I would tone it down a little bit. It's almost a little too strong, but I echo that sentiment.
Yeah. The other thing is it gets a little clunky reading it with the fragments. I get that the fragments are meant to be more conversational, and I see what you're going for there. I would say if you're going to do that, because you have you have 1, 2, 3 sentence fragments in a row. Technically, I mean, the third one, all you're missing is I. But anyway, what I would do is bulletize those. And then that kind of makes it clear that, okay, these are bullets. They're not meant to be flowing sentences, because you go from properly constructed sentences to more bulletized stuff. So yeah, I would set that off kind of as its own section. And then my analyst users trust my numbers. That's a full sentence. So that's why it reads a little incongruous.
Yeah.
I never know how to pronounce that.
Okay. So started out in finance, moved to program management, then to supply chain / operations, and now in customer marketing analytics. It's okay. We may want to have you're on almost every live stream. We may just want to have you come on and talk about our marketing analytics case study course, because I think that could be pretty fun and interesting. Fully appreciated how important data is and what it means to each function. You can count on me to show decision makers the delta improvement of having mediocre data, as existing state versus having high production grade, high quality data, future state. Okay, that's interesting. I just don't speak in those terms. I feel like I say this I kind of swim in the kiddie pool in terms of analytics hard skills.
Iris is smarter than us.
Yeah, I was gonna say this seems more technical, but if that's okay, if that's if you want a super technical role, not really a political animal. Which bingo, I want to hit on this. Don't post a bunch of political stuff on LinkedIn. Those people are.
I thought everybody knew this.
I don't. Occasionally,
you got to be careful too. With sometimes people have they're following kind of overly political accounts.
Right.
Anytime you click like that can get broadcast out to your network. So you really LinkedIn and Twitter, you got to really be careful. It's an employer can go through and see everyone you're connected to and everyone you're following.
See,
these things can get out.
I have a Twitter from 4 years ago, and I haven't tweeted probably in 3 years.
I mean, LinkedIn is a little more difficult, but yeah, Facebook and Twitter, if you're following political accounts, just stand by for what you get, because you show up for an interview and all it takes is 2 clicks by anybody. And it's these are all your Twitter follows. Really? This one here? That speaks to you, does it? So, anyway.
All right. So just want to play nice because we might really need each other one day and be the only option we have at the time.
That's when Skynet takes over and nukes us all from orbit.
I will explain things patiently because I don't expect you to understand it the first time or the way I understand it. I will listen to you with my full attention because that's how I want to be treated. Okay. I mean, that's a very
That's
kind.
Awesome. The explanation sentence comes off a tad patronizing.
Yeah.
Just not bad, but just I had to read it twice to kind of, it's okay, that's fairly equitable, but yeah, at first glance it's are you saying you're going to speak slowly to me? Dumb. I mean, you probably would have to, let's be honest, but I just don't want it said in your about section. But anyway,
all right.
I would look at that again, maybe run it by a couple of people hey, what do you think about this sentence?
Well, also too,
strikes me a little patronizing.
So one thing to bear in mind when you're writing out your LinkedIn bio is who is your target demographic. Yeah. So I'm direct to consumer. So I'm selling things, I'm building following, I'm building a community. So I'm speaking directly to analysts and data scientists to where, if that would sound kind of condescending if maybe Matt Brad said that or read that and he was about to hire you, of
everything,
you're going to speak
everything Matt says sounds condescending.
I do like this next part. I get paid in candy bars from ranting constructively on Medium, and it sharpens my communication skills anyway. What a win-win.
Yeah, that's fine.
Please come say hi and don't be rude, or literally just say hi. I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So it's a good kind of appeal. Yeah, it encourages people to actually communicate and not just be like, connect. Hate that. I've been getting a ton of those lately. Do I need to maybe I need to have like another manifesto on LinkedIn about like, send a freaking message. Say hello. Tell me why you're interested.
Okay, so maybe she speaks. Cyrus is saying that, yes, she speaks really slow. All right,
Hart, thanks for the invite. Is that a yes? Is that a yes, Iris?
Yeah, I mean, so I think we're going to be focusing on marketing analytics the next little bit. I mean, what's funny is that the Ash thing was a complete surprise. He was like, oh yeah, I know all about attribution. And I like started to make lectures on that in the course. And he was like, oh yeah, I do this day in and day out. Here are some of the nuances within that. So that's perfect. All right. I feel bad because we are.
I think somebody else asked for like a profile review.
Okay.
Waleed asked for him. What does Nikita say? Or Nitika.
You said it this time.
Nitika, I'm so sorry.
Nitika.
I should know better. I'm the properly pronouncing names guy.
Yeah. Oh wait. Wait.
She just had a couple comments.
Yeah. Okay. I applied just before I thought I am going to be ready. I got a job as a business analyst. Congratulations. That's awesome. And a just started startup. That's an interesting statement. And a just started startup. Okay.
Question next comment.
Because I think I can learn, if not a lot, but something useful. Question and next comment.
We should start a support group for like unqualified data scientists. Like Nitika and Molly and maybe I could be like charter members. Like, the hell are we doing? How do we figure this out?
See, I feel like I'm in the opposite group where it's like people assume that I'm like this authority figure. And I'm like, I know how to bring people in on projects.
But I mean, you're a consulting agency. So it's not like you're answering to a boss that's like, why don't you know how to do machine learning?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can go in and they describe the project to you and you can be like, yeah, that's not
what I do.
Yeah. Running k-nearest neighbors algorithms? No, not my thing.
Okay. All right. So here's the question then. And Natika has, is it okay if I think I'm ready and not spent a lot of time with the company? Can I leave it if I get a better opportunity? Now my network is getting better and I am building. So that I feel like is how good of there's a lot of ifs there.
Yeah, tons. And I know there's like, I hear people spouting off the, like, it looks bad if you leave the company before you've been there for a year. If you have there's someone that I unfortunately am connected to. I won't say too much more about this person, but anyway, this person looking at their work history has a long string of like 6 to 9 month stints at companies. And I'm talking about like 5 or 6 different jobs. If you do that, definitely, if you came into Matt Bratton, if you're still here, chime in, brother. I would say if I was tasked with hiring and someone comes in and their last 5 jobs, they failed to survive a year, the common denominator in all of those experiences is you. Chances are they weren't all 5 terrible places to work or terrible roles. You just suck at, sticking it out or working for anybody. You have a problem with authority, whatever it is, but the problem is you. I think people sometimes freak out, especially in, in certain work environments. People freak out about, this is my first job. I can't possibly leave it before a year. I can't speak gospel to that, but I feel like one time you should be able to explain that. Because you leave a job at 9 months, you should be able to come in and say, look, they sold me a bill of goods. The job description that I fell in on was not what was advertised. I dealt with it as long as I could. I found there was no internal mobility within the company. I was passed over for promotion. It was time to move. I think if you can brief it, like most things, if you can explain it, it's fine.
So what's interesting is that we're kind of coming down to a question of like loyalty. And as someone who's essentially unemployable, like I would never, I couldn't work for a company. But so that sends a big red flag in terms of employment. Now, like I can have consulting clients and engagements where I work on a project for 6 to 12 months. So if you find yourself, and see, this is interesting because on an even deeper level, it's like, what is your value structure? So some people value stability. I, on the other hand, value novelty and creativity and change. So like I have a different career trajectory than the typical person who listens to this podcast. But I mean, you really need to kind of do some self-reflecting of like, if I find myself wanting to change every 6 months, maybe you should get more so into the gig economy and line up a string of consulting engagements on Upwork. And that can actually, you could potentially make more money doing that. Now, the downside is that sometimes it's going to be very volatile. And I mean, there was like a good 2 or 3 year period in my life where it was really touch and go and it's very, very stressful, many sleepless nights. So I didn't have that stability, but a point that I didn't make earlier on when you were talking about like applying for jobs before you're ready, I was in rooms with C-suite executives talking about projects I didn't fully understand and then had to sit there and be like, just not lose my cool and then go and figure out like after the conversation. So there is something to that about like doing things you're not comfortable with and that push you. Now, I mean, it got to a point where I was like, wasn't sleeping because I had too much like uncertainty. But I mean, that's like a nuanced point I wanted to make about apply, because it puts you under pressure and you're going to grow and push through to the next place.
So in answer to that question, I would say, hell no.
You shouldn't.
No, you should not. A business is for profit. Even a charity is for fundraising. It is not about people. They may value their employees.
Right.
You know, some businesses more than others. They value their human capital. And Antika, that is what you are to the firm. You are human capital. So they value you the same way that they will do upkeep on their buildings and their equipment, their motor fleet, their whatever, you know, their books. But the minute you stop driving business value for that company, they only owe you whatever's in your contract. So if that's 2 weeks notice that you're being terminated for whatever reason, you've got 2 weeks of loyalty out of them. So the notion that you owe months or God forbid years of loyalty to a for-profit business whose one and only real concern is to generate a profit and stay in existence. No.
Okay, I'm going to push back on that a little bit in that, okay, yeah, don't care about the firm, but you don't want to screw over managers. Because then you might, if you do that enough, you're going to get a bad reputation.
Yeah, and I go back to, it's like, hey, don't walk into an interview with a resume with 5 short stints at companies, unless it's, I would say the only thing that could balance that out is if you come in and you say, I drove millions in business value at each of these stops, and when I left, it was time to move on. You know, if you can still get a good referral or reference from those companies, by all means, move on whenever you want.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that the reason that I'm in a place of abundance right now is because I have done a good job of finding people and building long-term. I mean, think about how our relationship evolved. I mean, you came into the podcast, it had an impact, and then you took over to LinkedIn, and now we've grown together, and it's like, I trust you, you trust me.
Oh.
We've like built something, and it's really cool. I've done that with Gary Fly. I've done that with Ryan Forrest. Hunter's coming in and doing his own thing. What's interesting is with Walid's comment, I'm going to yes and that. So yeah, it looks bad on your resume, but depending on what community you're in, but so like in Greensboro, there's only like a certain amount of people who are analysts or analytics managers. So if you screw over 3 out of the 6 people who are managers in this space, it's going to get around and you're going to be unemployed. They're just it's just not, they're going to not even look at you.
Yeah, but as far as caring about a for-profit business, If you care about individual people, sure.
All right, let's see if Walid. Am I spelling this?
It's right there. Yep.
All right. See, this is fun because now we're like getting to know people. Okay, so Bangladesh. Love this. This is cool. I like that background. It's very distinctive. Like that white on black is very, very striking. Great photo right there.
It's a good looking dude.
Yeah. Let's see how many followers. Yeah, okay, nice. So it's interesting because, well, okay, so he's up over 500. Mm-hmm. So where is it where it says that 500 plus followers? Right here. So yeah, just a note. I don't think we looked at it with Iris, but make sure you have 500 connections. It just makes you look established and like sturdy as a.
It's like you take LinkedIn seriously,
right?
That's kind of just the cool kid level. So
okay, cool. All right, let's do this. This is fun. I'm enjoying myself. Everyone has their own stories to tell, stories that will not only engage, inform, surprise, delight, and impact others, but that will also deliver unmeasurable life goals. And for my story, I capitalize that I am simple. Interesting. It was so sharp, and now it kind of fell apart with this part. And for my story, I am a simple guy from a small city in Bangladesh who is currently majoring in chemical engineering while playing around with data in my free time. Okay, that feels really strong. I mean, maybe I just lost in that last sentence. It just while I would consider rephrasing that a little bit. Also, capitalize that I.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like connotation there. Like, what are you going for by saying I am a simple guy? I just think I think people get kind of overly indulgent when they start going into the folksy language.
Well, okay. Also, too, English is his second language.
Sure.
So,
but it's our first, so we're here to help.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
And my only. So
we
do some greetings in Persian and maybe Arabic still, but
yeah. Un poquito español.
Yeah, I can ask where is the bathroom in
the
shoe store.
Okay, when I'm not doing academics, I am usually working on improving my data literacy and data analytics skills. Love that. This love for working with data started when I was trying to teach myself programming. Teaching myself programming and looking at the endless possibilities of sectors I can pursue through it, I stumbled upon data science. And at that very moment, I knew I wanted to work in this field. What do you think of that? I think it's a little bit verbose.
Yeah.
So like two words.
It gets a bit into kind of romantic metaphor. Like
I was about to say, it feels like Disney.
Stumbled upon data science, and at that very moment, I would just.
It was
I don't think that
magical.
helps. Yeah, I would say teaching myself programming. You got a reciprocal phrase there that's not. Again, what's with all the lowercase i's? Endless possibilities. That reads a little clunky. Mm-hmm. Looking at the, and again, endless is kind of flowery language. It's not really endless. I mean, there are a finite number of jobs you can do through programming, but I would just say kind of take some of the romanticism out of that. It just reads a little over the top. Stumbled upon data science metaphor. At that very moment, which again is metaphorical use of time, would just say just to find a simpler, kind of more direct way to say that would be my guidance.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing wrong with it.
Almost you could just take that entire thing out, and I think that this would because I'm reading ahead a little bit.
Also, doing academics reads, and that to me strikes me as a not English, not Walid's first language, but. Yeah, well, I'm not doing academics. It's kind of a folksy sort of made up way of talking about it. When you're not studying, when you're not studying engineering. I would just make it a touch more formal. I think it would read better.
Yeah. All right. So I am currently a data analyst skilled in Python, Power BI, SQL, Excel. Neat. So great SEO. So now you're making your profile searchable. So that's something I don't know if we talked about with Iris's profile. Make sure you include the skills in your profile that you want to be ranking for. Having worked with influential people in the data science community, I have drastically improved myself in writing, communication, public speaking, and in overall data science.
I think influential is misspelled. Pretty sure it has to be with a T.
Okay. I'm an avid learner, an explorer, and someone who is always looking for ways to improve myself. I feel like it's kind of the same flowery language. Maybe do kind of like Iris, where it was just short. I mean, you can have humor. It's tougher having humor with like the short sentences.
You have to kind of cut out the over-the-top adjectives with a freaking machete. Drastically improve myself in written communication.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe if you were like writing in crayon before, but yeah, it's like, I think people kind of read those over the top adjectives and kind of get turned off reading it. So yeah, just examine your adjectives. Like, is it really necessary? Does that add anything to be so kind of dramatic with that?
All right. So follow me on my journey like that. That's interesting. So my mission. Okay. I like the bold there. I want to make data science accessible and free to all my native people here in Bangladesh. I want to do this by spreading my knowledge throughout the community as much as possible. That's pretty cool. What do you think?
It
is still a little flowery.
I mean, if you're going to put that in there, I don't see things leading up to that in the section previous to it. So I would say if that's going to be your thing, Waleed, I would put kind of some more concrete stuff like, maybe my mission and right below that, my action plan is, I want to get this degree. I want to start a consulting firm. I want to, work my way into a company that meets these descriptions. Something where it's like, this is not just sort of pie in the sky stuff. Like, this is something that I've thought about and planned for. I think would probably lend some more impact to that. But that's awesome. Good for you. I have to imagine that the opportunities to study data science in Bangladesh are pale in comparison to what they are here.
We got Iris. So what if he's just a romantic guy, though?
I think he is.
Sounds like someone's crushing on his writing ability here.
And his picture, maybe. I mean,
okay, so I want to hop in for a chat or call to discuss. Did I just throw I in there? So okay, yeah, I think that is interesting. I am kind of curious, Waleed, if people are reaching out to you. I would be a little hesitant to put my email on there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I've got like I got 7,000 people, so that would be like a lot coming in. And then this last part, I would nix that. Don't ask me to endorse your skills if we haven't worked together or collaborated in some way. I feel like that is actually going to, if enough people did that on LinkedIn, it's going to dilute the signal, which I guess it's already kind of, it's meaningless.
Well, especially since you can. So I don't mean to kind of expose LinkedIn's game, but so when you're endorsing people,
it's endorse for endorse.
Well, I mean that I don't do that. Usually I'll just go and endorse people. It's like if I get a good feel for they know what they're talking about. No, what the. Anyway, sorry about that. No. Didn't realize it wasn't silent. If I go in and get a feel for someone and I get a feel for like Nikki Esrani is here and very welcome. I love seeing you here. But so Nikki Esrani has an awesome YouTube channel. Yes. Quarter past. Wow. Well, like I said, she's the one I was talking about that's on the Eastern Standard Time shift. So she's got to stay up till like 3 working. So, but thanks for spending your time with us. But anyway, she's got an awesome YouTube channel. So if I go onto Nikki's LinkedIn profile and it says social media, that's an easy endorse. But, it's an easy endorse for people like if I go on her LinkedIn profile and it says rocket surgery, sure, I can just as easily endorse that. I don't need to know anything about it. It does add things to the algorithm. You didn't leave without getting noticed, Nikki.
I was about to say, we see you.
Yeah. But so it's better. Like, I think I have like a 90 something for Excel and I've done the little skills test I've got some things that are 90 plus, but
Wait,
I've got a bunch of points on my Excel skills. So if I go and endorse somebody for Excel, both the number that I have and the Excel test lends additional weight to my endorsement of them.
Wait, I guess they're down. See, I don't even do the skills.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, because I think you probably have more so than I do at this. You got a lot.
I think it's the only one I got the test. Oh, 25. Okay. I overshot wildly. But anyway, I haven't put Excel. The other thing, if you put things in your top 3, those are the ones that people see, and those are the ones they're most likely to endorse. So anyway, so I don't think I've ever put Excel in my top 3, so it doesn't get as many boost ups. But but 25 is still a pretty good number. Like according to LinkedIn, I know my stuff with Excel, and I've passed their little test. So if I go on
So
your profile
you're
and
killing
say, you know what's going on with Excel, that gives you more weight because of my endorsement. And then there's even more when you categorize your relationship. So if I say, hey, I have worked directly for John David, or you have worked directly for me, so therefore we have had a supervisory relationship, I can vouch for your Excel skills. They are crazy. Then all of that weighs into kind of, how weighty that endorsement is.
Interesting. So it looks like we're growing in India. Nice.
When are we? I was gonna call my shot and say we were gonna hit 10,000 before the end of the day. Actually, before the podcast ended, but
it's very close at this point.
We're inching there. 9.96. Hey.
Let's see.
40.
The poor internet connection here.
Less than 40 subscribers.
Well, look at that. Who is that right there?
I'm a good looking dude. I'm not. Anyway.
It's business. Yeah, I think we're very, very close at this point. It'll be within a day or two.
Go tell your friends,
of
the 13 of you that are still here.
Yeah,
probably.
we got. Yeah.
We should probably. So I was. Nikki is awesome. We should probably have her as a guest as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
Suddenly, I'm only bringing in female guests.
I was about to say it's a female only month.
Yeah. So it's not even a theme. It's just the people that it's like, hey, started seeing Jenny Tume's videos and it was like, hey, you're cool. Why don't you come on the show?
True.
You sing and write songs about data. How's that not awesome? But anyway, yeah, Nikki is a business analyst doing work from home work in India. And she puts out some awesome YouTube videos about that and many other subjects. She has an interview show where she has like wide ranges of guests, one of which was yours truly. But
I think you're getting more interviews than I am at this point. It's wild.
I don't think you put yourself out there for that.
Yeah, I need
Matt Brad coming up on the big 1K.
Oh, nice. But
who's Spidey?
Also, what do you think of this thumbnail right here?
What's up? Yeah, that's pretty good.
But see, some of our audience.
The first picture was weird.
Yeah, I threw a weird filter on the thumbnail and I was like, no, I feel like that's communicated though. So if anybody wants to come on the podcast, take our marketing analytics course, post and tag us on LinkedIn, and you'll be in the drawing. Actually, it's not a drawing, it's a competition. Whoever has the best visualization is going to be reviewed by.
It's not like bingo.
Yeah. All right, let's see. All right, awesome. So Matt's coming in 1,000. Nice. That's a big. That feels like a big.
Do you remember when you got 1,000?
Benchmark. I remember it fondly. No, I was gonna go into like some magical. It was enchanting and magical.
Did you and Elizabeth pop a cheap ass bottle of champagne?
Elizabeth, I don't think she didn't drink cheap champagne.
Was she only the good stuff?
Yeah,
I haven't seen Spidey before.
All right, Spidey. I don't know. Yeah, who is Spidey? Are you following us on LinkedIn or anything? I'm curious about an actual name. So I recently completed the Google Analytics certificate. Currently doing a SQL data analyst course on DataCamp to practice SQL. Here, can you recommend me what I can do to improve skills?
So, I will say, look, I'm not here to talk trash about any learning platform. I tried DataCamp for a few months, specifically to learn SQL, and I did a lot of Python classes. I did enjoy the Python classes. I did not enjoy the SQL classes. I just didn't think, for me, it was not an effective way to learn it. After a while, I got kind of really tired and didn't get good retention out of the sort of progressive fill in the blank learning formula the DataCamp uses. It didn't work well for me. But my biggest beef with SQL, or not with SQL, no beef with SQL. SQL's amazing. My biggest beef with DataCamp is, I think as I mentioned earlier, everything is through their learning portal. Nothing takes you into SQL Server or any of the individual languages, the versions of SQL, none of that. It's just their portal, learn syntax, and I didn't retain it. So I eventually canceled my DataCamp subscription and sort of went a few different ways. I like Jose Portilla's Udemy course. I think it's called Zero to Hero. That's a good one. I blasted that thing out like in a weekend. And that was quite good. And I found that actually reinforced some of the things that I was having trouble learning through DataCamp. Jose's course was very effective.
Also, this feels goofy saying this, but Spidey, what's your goal or objective? I think that is a very salient point. So if you ask me what to do, it's like the Cheshire Cat from second Alice in Wonderland reference of the podcast. So I can't give you advice if you don't tell us what direction you want to head in. Because it's like a cat. Like I've noticed this about cats. If you pick them up and then they're walking this way and then you point them in another direction, they're just going to continue to walk. So it depends. It depends on what your area of expertise is. But Natika actually has some really good projects. Yeah. So just start working on different projects that are interesting to you. Oh, here we go. Awesome. So my current goal is to start my career. But like what kind? So a data analyst working on sales data, on marketing data, on supply chain. Like for example, Molly Welsh, who we helped get her entry-level data science job. She's doing data science for disaster relief. So it's environmental science meets data science, and it's an interesting mashup. So we'll say
Data Science Go. This past weekend, I did a kind of mini boot camp. It was like 5 or 6 hours of doing SQL work with Harpreet, and he does classes for Super Data Science, which I personally have never used Super Data Science. I hear good things, but if Harpreet's teaching it, I mean the in-person class that I had with him on Sunday was awesome. So pretty sure Super Data Science had some good SQL classes.
Yeah, he is a really cool dude.
Yeah, if you're looking free, Lead Code has good stuff to work on. Tina Huang has some good stuff on YouTube.
So Walid, I don't know if you're familiar with Upwork, but what you can do, for example,
some issues with Upwork being available in foreign countries. So
that is true. So if you're in Bangladesh, like we just talked about, there is this new toggle of US only. So unfortunately, the reality of the situation is you're not going to be getting kind of the premium or the cream of the crop jobs are probably going to be going to people in the United States, which it's unfair. It's kind of the way the world is right now. But if you untoggle this, we can find some projects. So, interesting. So this is looking for, I think I need to change it to projects. And let's type in Tableau. So I would suggest Walid, I feel like we're not pronouncing it right. Build a portfolio or a profile on this website. And I mean, look, there are people looking for a ton of different projects on here. So is this still project category for, let's say, data visualization? Okay. So there's a bunch of different projects that you could pick up on here. What's really cool is that I mean, the call I had with ABS earlier today was he had someone reach out to him via LinkedIn because of his presence, wanting him to do some consulting work for this guy. So I would say build your personal brand, and that's build it on Upwork and then also build it on LinkedIn. So, I mean, Al, what do you think? I feel like there is a demand for doing freelance or consulting work, but the majority of our fans aren't interested in that. But there's no one that's currently putting that work out there. Also, if you look at my channel, I do have some shorter form videos on how I built my consulting agency and how I landed my first client and so on and so forth. So you can search the channel for that. All right, we got some more questions.
I think they're just talking to each other at this point. So Matt and Spidey having a conversation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, yeah. Found you searching the DA 100. Look at that.
Oh, interesting. So, Wally, this is a great case in point. Get as big of a digital footprint as possible. So be on all the websites that are relevant. I mean, what is it like? Is it Kaggle or what? GitHub. Be on GitHub.
Kaggle, GitHub. There's one I always forget.
Well, I saw that you have a YouTube channel. That actually is a great way of getting leads as well.
HackerRank, that's a good one.
Okay, yeah. So just work on your personal brand. I would say that would be the most effective way. Yeah. So I'm gonna echo Nikki here. So create a strong Tableau online profile. That I would say is the easiest step forward, in that it's free, and it also is a really easy learning curve. So you can get something that looks really nice really fast. All right, it's 5 o'clock here, so I think we need to sign off.
I gotta go make dinner.
Well, thank you guys, and I appreciate you so much for being here on our first in-person tag team. It's a whole different dynamic. Like we're like hanging out in person.
Nice.
So
hey, sorry, the word for this. I know Nikki said she didn't get the word. Yeah, I didn't. Usually I do an event and send out invites. Did not do that for this. I kind of just blasted out a couple of posts, one late yesterday and then one this morning. So yeah, that's probably why we only had like 20 people here.
Oh, well.
That's all right. It was intimate.
We're getting our reps in. We're just practicing.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I'm still getting comfortable on camera. Yeah. And like facilitating like the screen sharing, engaging with the audience. Having you here in person though,
dude, it's been a year and a half. You should probably be comfortable now.
For live streaming though?
True.
Live streaming is like spinning a plate and running.
It's not like you edited the videos before. I mean, you're basically just live recording Wednesday and then clicking post.
But okay, so you did the Q&A section. You handled all that. Now I'm having to have a conversation where I'm paying attention and I'm present, but then also present with a group of people that's sometimes like 40, 50 people.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But
that phone call earlier was a job offer.
Oh, nice. All right.
We're signing off.
We're signing off. See you guys later.
See you guys.